Let's try this bad boy. There we go. That sounds like audio. I like
Let's try
it.
this bad boy. There we go. That sounds like audio.
All right.
I like. Let's try this bad boy. There we go.
Oh,
That sounds like audio.
reverb.
All right. I like. Try this bad boy. There we go.
Oh,
That sounds like
reverb. I'm still learning. This is my first time in here, so it's actually kind of fun and crazy at the same time.
This is my first time in here, so it's actually kind of fun and crazy at the same time. This is my first time in here, so it's actually kind of fun and crazy at the same time.
So it's my own chat. There we go. That should work.
There we go.
All right. So now that being said, that sounds my own chat. I don't know if how helpful that's going to be. We'll deal with that as it goes. All right. So I've been talking for like 4.5 minutes, but nobody's heard me because my volume wasn't on correctly. I got. Let me start back over. So right now I'm working on the core rule book for GunCraze. Uh, GunCraze is an action tabletop role-playing game, pen and paper style, where you and your friends sit down and you challenge a more modern world as opposed to a fantasy world. Actually, it's more futuristic at this point because GunCraze takes place in the year 2050. However, the rules for GunCraze you can use in any scenario from World War II all the way, in any scenario. And eventually there will be a fantasy version as well called Sword Craze. We'll get there when we get there. All right, first things first. So what are talents? Talents are feats of ability that make your character stand out a little better. And that's really important because if you just had your normal shooting, the game could be okay depending on how the gun raster goes, but GunCraze is based on action movies and action combat. So the more cool things your character can do, the more combat flows, the more prettier it looks, if you will. That being said, I'm currently reorganizing the talents, the ranged combat talents, and I'm making them look better and adding some. You can see some in red here that are being added. Hopefully you can read them. If you can't, um, you can just call one out and I'll do that for you. So no big deal. All right. So I'm working in Microsoft Word. I've been using Microsoft Word for a while. I went to Google Docs for a bit, and then I've come back to Microsoft Word. All right. So I'm just going to keep working. If you guys jump in and have a question, go ahead and jump in and ask a question. Actually, there's nobody in here, so I'm talking to myself, but hey, that's okay. We're having a good time still. All right. Creating on the fly. All right, so the next thing we're looking for is what I'm doing is I'm reorganizing them. So I'm moving each talent down. I just moved hurl weapon. Hurl weapon placed itself there, which hurl weapon you can forego accuracy and use your strength to hurl a throwing weapon at an enemy, increasing its damage. All right, the requirement is strength of 1 and ranged combat of 4 to do this. It costs 1 talent point. It says here, so I'm going to go ahead and verify that real quick. Hurl weapon is a 1 TP bonus. All right. It also can be used comboed with 2-weapon fighting. All right, put asterisk there, meaning it can combo with all the versions of that. And improved throw and all the versions of that. Because improved throw has some additional buffs to that as well. All right. Moving on. So what does it do? When you make an attack roll with a weapon that has the throwing special rule using either your exotic weapon bonus or your basic range combat bonus, you can choose to suffer a -2 penalty to your attack roll. If you do, the attack deals an extra 1d6 damage. This ability may be used up to 3 times for a total penalty of -6, adding an extra 3d6 damage. For weapons that have a damage of 1, the damage increases to 1d3 and 1d6 instead. All right, so that's important to note. All right, so you can use it on a dart to hurl that sucker and over-penetrate a light armor character, which would be hilarious to watch. Oh, I have armor on. Your 1-point dart isn't. No, I'm gonna hurl it. Oh, good luck. Hopefully you roll higher than 1. All right, so that's her weapon. Her weapon has an additional one that it can kind of buff up to it. It's called Stick Around. and that's based on Predator. If you've seen the movie Predator, there's a scene where Arnold throws a machete through a guy and pins him to a wall, and he says, "Stick around." Again, based on action movies. So I'm going to grab that stick around. There it is. And I'm going to move it up to its home in the general combats, because you can use that with anything. So, all right, so stick around. Again, I'm going to look over it. I got its requirements are strength of 3 and range combat of 6. So I look it up here. Range combat 6, hurl weapons. So apparently I got rid of the strength requirement for it, and I'm okay with that. And hurl weapon, I got rid of the strength requirement for it. I usually do a lot of my planning up in this chart, which precedes the talent section. And from there, I go ahead and edit here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that strength of 1 requirement here as well. Stick around is 2 talent points. All right. You can hurl a stabbing type weapon at an enemy, causing it to penetrate deeper and cause more damage. So that's what it says here. What I have up here is adds 2 advantage dice when using hurl weapon with a stabbing weapon, may pin target to an adjacent surface. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what happens. All right, range combat of 6, cost is 2 TPs. We saw that. When you use the hurl weapon talent to throw a melee weapon with the stabbing type and the throwing X special roll, add 2 advantage dice to the damage roll of this attack. If the target... Okay. This is incomplete. Let's see here. Add 2 advantage dice to the damage roll of this attack. If the target character is adjacent to a wall or similar surface, the attack may pin them to the wall. If any hit point damage was done and the attack's damage exceeds hit points for minions or their hit points for the random hit location rolled for elites and player characters, the stabbing weapon pierces through the target. The attack must have sufficient remaining damage to pass through the hardness value of the surface of the attack, would be pinning them to. All right. Strength test with a target number of 4 added to... Okay, this is a little beady, and this is why we go in here and do this stuff, all right? We're going to make stick around fun and not daunting. All right, and it is part of hurling weapon. So, okay, so we gotta edit the wording a little bit, because it's also going to be using a ranged weapon with the throwing special rule. So a melee weapon with the stabbing type, or a ranged weapon with the throw. All right. You don't need the throwing X special rule, because let's go ahead and grab that. Wow. Take a peek. All right. So now we're moving on to do a review throwing attacks, which is an important part of the game. Sometimes heroes just throw stuff, and that's what they do. Shooting, shield other, resting. Types of shooting attacks. Shooting different than range. Let's go ahead and get that. Navigation pane. And we'll Google stuff, because that's how it works. So when I've been working on back and forth through these editions, one of the things that happens, I've changed formats, and some things actually just get lost between editions. I've cut them out to deem them either not good at all, and from there I try to fix it. So let me go ahead and check. All right, I see the throw test that I have here. D10 roll adding the character's basic range combat bonus and other bonus and penalties that apply, used for throwing objects or making ranged attacks with thrown weapons. Okay. Now, I used to have a whole section on thrown weapons. Let's go ahead and dig into the past, because why not? I'm going to flop into I'm going into my files. Main files, older items. Yeah, digging for my old files is like pulling teeth. I literally pass through them and move on. That's what I do. So, all right. Let's go ahead and move back. It looks like we're missing a section on throwing, so this is great. We get a chance to add it and improve the rulebook. So, looking up here, rushing, grab, alternate melee attacks, melee, generic melee attack. Okay, so we got torrent, 2-up and fighting. So it would be a type of ranged attack is really what it is. But that also we have the alternate melee attacks. So this will be an alternate ranged attack that will sit underneath. So I get the alternate melee attack section. All right, I'm gonna have an alternate ranged attack section. That's just the way that's got to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and again copy my own text. I'm gonna move to right underneath weapon specialization. Paste in this section. After a lot of cut and paste, sometimes it slows down a bit. It's just the way life is. Alternate range attacks, and we'll add that section. Range attacks that can be made. All right, so now we'll go ahead and grab an example of an attack. So we'll say, we'll just use aim shot. Grab a little bit of that meat there, because that helps me. It's like Insta format. It's just fast. I mean, I have my formatting thing set up on the page. But let's go ahead and build up throwing weapons. All right. So we have throwing attack is what it would be called. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get redline this meat. I'll type that up later. I don't want to come up with all the text right now. All right. Throwing attack requirements. We'll steal that. Steal the other format so that formats feel the same as you flow through. Weapon shops. Throwing attacks can be made only with, they can be made with melee attacks. Okay, throwing attacks actually can be made with anything. Throwing attacks can be made with any object. All right. They can also, because you can like throw a sandbag at somebody and try to pound them, smash them in the head with a sandbag, which would be hilarious. So throwing attacks may be any object. A melee weapon with the throwing X special rule. Throwing X special rule. That's funny. I have throwing X special rule, but no throwing X special rule. I'll have to look into this. Very interesting things. All right. And that might be what this is supposed to be. Instead of throwing attack, throwing X, but we'll get to it. All right. And throwing X is just filled in with something else, right? So you have your torrent X, blast X, usually means the range of what they can throw. It'd be all right. Throwing attack requirements. Throwing attacks can be with any object, a melee weapon with a throwing X special rule, or a ranged weapon with the so you have this. Now I can go to actually special rules because these are attacks. Special rules. If I go up to whoa, buddy. All right. What I'm going to head to is the weapon section for almost there. And we're going to go to the rule. Look at that. Ranged weapon special. Okay. I have the throwing as a universal special rule. Let's see what it says. It's in red. That's always helpful. It means that I didn't go back and finish something I was supposed to. A weapon with throwing special rule is specifically designed to be thrown by hand. These weapons can either be ranged like a dart or melee weapons that have been expertly balanced for accurate throws. When thrown, melee weapons have a default range of close. The attack roll adds either the exotic weapon bonus or basic ranged combat bonus, and medium-sized weapons add the character strength bonus to the damage roll. Medium-sized weapons add the character strength to... I don't know about that. Like... Because I'm thinking a guy throwing a baseball at somebody's face from across the room, their strength would probably be added to that. But it might be rounded down. All right, so it's something to consider. Again, the whole format of this is just kind of messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and highlight. This is how creation happens. As you go through the book, one thing triggers something else. It's a little painful to stay focused, especially for a type of person like me. So a weapon with throwing special was specifically designed to be thrown by hand. These weapons, like a dart, when thrown, melee weapons have a default range of close. The attack roll adds either the exotic weapon bonus of the range. Okay, so what we'll do is a subsection called attack bonus. And what we'll do is when I do a subheading underneath of a gray area, I always do this. And on top of that, so shapeless damage roll. All right, and what I'm going to do is, let's see, what we'll do is break this down. Small items. Small. All right, and we can do medium items. All right, small items. You know what, I'm just going to leave that one as it is. We're just going to go ahead and group it together and say weapon damage, bonus damage. That's good. All right. So, and we'll keep it easy. Thrown weapons adds a character strength bonus to the damage roll. All right. I have a section on throwing items, and I don't know why it's not. Very curious. Because my section on throwing items included like what could be thrown and how far. And this is one of those, all those big challenges of game design is like, hey, you have all the rules, why can't you find them? well, you know, I don't memorize the player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons either. All right, but I know how to dig through the index and look for things. However, this thing is not ready with an index, so I can use the search function to find it. All right, so I'll get all the benefits of where throw comes in. All right, I see throwing. That's what we're typing. Item creation, okay, it's all the reflexes. Improve catch, these are additional abilities that can work with throwing. Let's see here. Weapon. Exotic ranged. All right, so needless to say, it's not right here. I'm going to look one more location. All right. And it's always a good location to look. All right. So that being said, let me take a quick moment. I'm going to run you guys by GunCraze.net. This is the website that you can go to learn more about GunCraze. I have all kinds of sub pages on here that you can look at. All right. You can learn about the features of the GunCraze role playing game, the timeline, GunCraze Miniature Battles, which is an additional game that uses the same rules as GunCraze, like 95% of the same rules. So you don't have to learn two different systems. You can actually buy that book right now on Amazon. All right. And you can, as long as you can make up the dice rolls, you can use the combat from the GunCraze Miniatures Handbook to play a role playing game, or you can get some of your own miniatures together. All of our miniatures are provided through Papsicles, which is, you can link to this page. Papsicles is, you can see them clearly on the top of our screen here. They are ran out of the Philippines. The gentleman that runs the place, we call him Papsicles, but he is absolutely great modeler, and he creates beautiful models. We have those as well, websites and links to his page here. All right, he's absolutely an upstanding guy. So you can always look into that. If you're more of the gaming type, I highly recommend that you go to Wartop on Steam. All right, let's head over to Steam real quick. Whoa, that was loud. All right. So,
welcome, dear traveler.
So Wartop on Steam, what you can do is it's a virtual tabletop, and it's only right now it is only, I think it's like $11, $12, and when you buy it, you actually get GunCraze Miniature Battles as a download pack. All right, I can show you that some other time, but try to stay super focused. Let the ADD, survive the moment here. All right. That being said, we're going to go ahead and get back into rulebook creation. All right. All right. Moving along. We're going to... I'm looking for that document that I was talking about. Oh, I think I found it. Happy days. So right now we're version 29. So I went ahead and pulled up how serious this is going to be. Version 2, which is actually version 2, but it's version 2 when I started years ago. Version 1. Check this out. This is what the rulebook looked like when I started. It was 84 pages. Grappling, things I need to pay attention to while I'm in here. So let's take a look. That's weird how that is. So damage and mitigation. Interesting how these things are. Close combat. Grenades. Throwing. Oh, check it out. Okay. All right. Okay, I like this. This has got stuff. Maybe a little bit too advanced, but I'll bring it over. What I'll do is I'm going to bring it over because this is great stuff. I hate to get rid of stuff that I've done. It just happens sometimes. I'm going to copy it into my clipboard. It's going to look really bad when I paste it in here probably, but we'll see how it goes. We'll fix it back up. All right. All right. Let's see. So this is the throwing section. Oh, this is the throwing section of the special rules. I need to do the throwing attack section, so I kind of pasted in the wrong area, but that's all right. We'll go down and paste in the right area because the throwing that in the throwing special rules area are two different things. All right. So sliding on down, ba ba da ba. All right, we're gonna go to our alternate ranged attacks that we were talking about. All right, and now we're going to paste this again. Gosh, sometimes I want to keep that source drone running, but man, that's rough. You don't want that. All right. So this would be a good header. All right. I don't need that. All right. Characters can throw objects. All right, here we go. So we can put the attack requirements. I don't think movement is necessary. Nope, that's it. Not necessary. So now that we have the throwing X subheader, I can use the I can use heading 5 to break up my areas, and then have my subheadings after this look like this. All right, so this right here is a chart. It was a chart. Oh, don't do that. Sometimes it wants to do that auto. Oh gosh, yeah. All right, we don't want it to sometimes. All right. Players must use the following rules. Determine the maximum range. Okay, so range has changed from this old edition recently. So now we have several different ranges, and what we use for that is the GunCraze concepts Excel sheet. All right, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. Just there's a lot of random thoughts on here. Some old things that are made in red. Let's see, new ranges. Here we go. So our ranges are close, short, medium, long, far, extreme. Okay. And that's important to know. Let's see, determine range. All right, and this is easier now. So I can insert sometimes inserting is a pain in the butt. Sometimes I like to go steal other charts. Well, we'll give it a shot. We want to have how many columns here? Example, max range, small, flashlight. So 3 things. And then different sizes. We'll go ahead and put a bunch of squares in here just because I wanted to make sure it comes out all right. So we're going to have to throw an object, example, max range. Hey, throw an object. You can also throw, so a throwing attack and then just throwing. That's a very important thing. I have to be very careful with. So you could throw a clip to a friend. You don't want to miss. He needs it. You know, he's. I'm just gonna go and put this in here, even though it's not 20 squares. It's changed. Um, and all right, so that looks. It's not. We're not done. So we definitely have some other things that can. So there's a lot of realism in GunCraze. All right, and I like to think about things that would make it cool. You know, does it take maybe a little bit too much away from the player when he's trying to decide, hey, you know, I want to come up with something cool that's not listed in the book for rule of cool. Well, you know what? It's actually nice to have those rules written. In my opinion, it's nice to have those rules written out for you because the rule of cool only gets so far. You get shut down a lot. If you have the rule in there, then you can understand the intent. My intent as the game designer, and with that, you can make better decisions as a gun master, which is a GM in GunCraze. All right. So alternate range attacks. Got the throwing ranged. Alternate ranged attacks. I can hear my beautiful puppies outside. My toy poodles barking. It's funny, we had a snowman out there the other day because it snowed here in eastern North Carolina. And my little puppy, he just saw that snowman. He was like, this is the bad guy. All right. So, again, I'm just going to kind of make this fit in here for now. Not really too focused. I just want it to look right. So, the above chart is a guide. So what is the concept? If you throw an object to a friend, they're trying to catch it, you're trying to throw it to them. But there's a check, you know, how difficult is it? Where does it hit? You know, should, you know, and then how far is the range, you know? So I have this old range thing here. I know that that is completely old. All right, and then I have the throwing check. All right, let's see here. All right. An item that has arrived remains in midair until, all right, the beginning of the throwing character's next turn. And the concept about that is you can throw the weapon in the air and catch it yourself in the next turn. All right. Which can be helpful. I mean, even a hilarious thing, you know, you're like, enemy comes to run up on you. And you throw something into the air first for your first, ranged attack that round, and then you punch him in the face a couple times, and the next turn you catch it. You could do that technically. That's kind of how the concepts work. You know, you want it to be fun. You know, you're not trying to be. You know, it's up to the gunmaster to determine the levity that's going to be happening during the battle. If the gunmaster is more strict and he's trying to crush you, maybe doing that would not be a smart idea unless you absolutely had some kind of benefit to it. So let's see here. Throwing check, make a basic range combat check. Also, it allows this other cool thing to happen. I just want to throw this out there. You throw a grenade. It counts off. It has its own timer and whatnot. Because it doesn't detonate the same round you throw it, unless you cook it, it will go all the way around and come back to. It could come back to you by your turn if you didn't cook it. So picking up a grenade that an opponent threw, that's not, it's dangerous, but you could definitely pull it off. So I definitely want to get some of these other thoughts back into the rule book here. I need to start peeling them back out. Obviously, this is a thing that's really important. So I'm going to fix this up because I have to fix this up to be able to go back to that talent and make it fit, make the talents good. All right. So let's see what I can do with some of this stuff here. So, ooh. All right. Yeah, so this chart looks pretty bad. Basically what I'm looking at. So delete cells, delete entire row. This is a formatting thing. I will save you from this. I'm just going to leave it here and move on. I know I need to get that fixed. All right. But the actual as far as formatting, but we could do text. So small font 5, what's the range going to be? Medium. And medium is going to be close. And large is going to be adjacent. All right. That's your, that's going to be your throwing thing. Large 21 pounds. Could you throw something? You know what? We can shave this off another level because, all right, I have to do it because I need to fit now. Table properties. It's always the stuff. It always is. It's just cell, center. Okay, that puts everything in the middle for now. Table properties, column. All right. Let's see here. What I want to do is see when you go to collapse this, it doesn't collapse. That's one of the problems about using the tables when you generate it and me not just stealing a table from somewhere else. So let me go steal a table because it's more fun to steal. As they say, plagiarism is the best form of flattery. All right. They don't say that. So what we're going to do is just going to copy this one, which is better. And this is how it goes. You just steal what you got to steal to make things work. Oh, look at that. You see how they combine? That is so special and unhelpful. Control X. Paste this text. Range. Just range. All right. So, just paste these in here. And in my head, things that are bouncing around, I don't think I'm going to allow these weapons to be thrown outside of their original range increments. So they're only going to be able to be thrown one time or within one increment. Because these are really built for they're really built for ooh, there we go. Okay, got that in there now. It might be funny, but this is absolutely important. The back of those needs to be white so they stand out a little, they pop a little better. So cell center. All right. So there we go. We got it in there. We are good. Now one thing that's not there, below it, I can put list table header. Oh, that is the list table header. Cool. I'll leave it large though because we're in a large area. That's more for a small area. All right. Oh, because it's in a list. There's my table headers. Look at that. How about that trash? All right. Moving on. Okay. For each rank they have in the strength column. All right. So players must determine maximum range of the object being thrown for items in the weapons and equipment sections rulebook. Maximum throw distance are given. No, they're not. No, they're not. For items and the weapons. For weapons. For weapons. Okay. So these are objects. All right. We were talking about the throwing attack. Just a little bit of trying to get my thought process here right, because this section is the alternate range attacks. So an alternate action for a ranged attack is really what it is. Ranged alternate actions. Ranged alternate actions. I like that better. Is it going to change? Maybe not, but it always could. So throwing X was supposed to be the distance built into the thing. So throwing X was the rule, and I think that's probably why I got rid of it in the other section. So what I'm doing now is going over the weapons universal rules. Look at throwing again. It is just throwing. All right. Weapon throwing special rules specifically designed to be thrown by hand. These weapons can either be ranged like a dart or melee weapons that have been expertly balanced for accurate throws. When thrown, melee weapons have a default range of close. That's just it. It's a default range of close. All right. For several other types of objects, so let's look at what close range is based upon our sheet that we brought up a minute ago. No, there we go. So close range is 10 to 50 feet. All right, or we're talking about 2 to 5 squares. All right, which is not really great. So what we should have done is for small use short. For medium, yeah. So there we go. Medium, short, close. Then we also do research in GunCraze. When I'm building this, I do research. So sometimes I just ask those questions in a Google search because they have a little AI in there that helps you. How far is the furthest a football has ever been thrown? According to the Guinness World Record, the furthest a football has ever been thrown is 94 feet. 94 feet. This record is held by Jenna Brandy, who achieved this distance with an NFL ball. So, again, now I feel this a little suspect. 94 feet? Man, I've seen these guys throw it. Quarterback Joe Milton can throw an orange 100 plus yards. Longest throw in NFL history. Randall Cunningham during 76 yards. You're wrong. You're wrong. Oh, by a woman. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I don't want to. By a man. By a man. Baker Mayfield. In 2020, Mayfield threw a Hail Mary pass that traveled 70.5 yards in the air. During his pro day, Mahomes threw a pass that traveled nearly 80 yards in the air. 240 feet. So we're talking about a quarterback hurling a under 5-pound object that far. All right. So let's talk about 200. Let's apply that to this. Oh, how about if I grab the right thing? Sometimes, man. Sometimes. So we're talking about quarterbacks being able to throw 250. All right, I'm down. I get it. I'm okay with this. Yeah, well, we can play on it too, all right? So increased strength could increase the distance that you could throw, which sounds fair. You don't want to you don't want to say a weakling can, just because he has a small object, he can hurl it 250. So maybe short is where it needs to stop, and then added distance based on strength and other talents, which is probably where I want to go. So yeah, let's. That's wild, Mahomes, man. 240 feet throw. Can you imagine that? Gosh, that's ridiculous. All right. That being said, let's go back here and look at where we're at again. Okay. So that's a 1 to 5, a football, and we're saying we're gonna go short because it's a different range. But for this medium, which is a heavier object, we'll go close for that, and anything larger will be adjacent. Okay. Throwing beyond the first range increment may only wording. Words matter. Words are painful. Words are painful. All right. So let's see. Throwing behind the first range increment. Can only be done with an increased. With an increased strength score. Strength attribute. Oh, just strength rank. That's easy. or with certain talents. For each rank they have in a strength combat stat character, for each rank they have in the strength combat stat attribute. Old writing. Characters add 5 squares when throwing small objects. Ooh. 2 squares for medium object and 1 square for large object. That is actually kind of fun. So, yeah, I could do that. Let's do a little added stuff. Let's not hurt anybody in here. What we're gonna do is actually not use these ranges, and what I'm gonna do is change it to actually 50 feet, which is 10 squares. That way they don't get confused. That way you can get rid of this text here and have no range increments. And we can call this max range now. All right. Weapons, throw maximum throw distance. Weapons stat block. Throwing beyond the first range can only be done with an increased strength rank, or with certain talents. So short, all right, which is going to be, we talked about this, is going to be, that was actually, let's see, that was close, 125, which is between, oh gosh, 25 squares, math. So we'll say 5 feet. This is Imperial System, by the way. It's an American game. It's American. Nothing against you guys from different around the country or around the world, but it's American. I'm just messing. It's a game for the world, actually. And 1 square. All right, so 5 feet. You know what? 21 pounds. We're gonna go 21 pounds. I could roll that. 20 feet. We'll say we'll say 5 feet. Or sorry, 25 feet. 5 squares. Now let's go ahead and let's add another increment, because why not, right? Why not? 20 pounds to, I don't know, how far can I throw something 25 feet? 21 pounds, I could hurl a rifle, and rifles are 12 pounds. I can hurl that quite further than 25 feet. But something 21 pounds, that's pretty heavy. Half a bag of salt, 21 pounds. Sorry, 25 feet is actually pretty good, but how far? We'll say 21 to 50. And then anything above, very large. Small, medium, large. Very large is really not in the book. It's massive, which is going to be your 51 to. So now we get into this whole thing is like weight. You know, your strength, you have your lift, your carry, your whatnot. So you can actually adjust the thoughts of these based upon, if you're like a cyborg character with metal arms, you could probably throw a machine gun damn like a football. All right, so there's a thought here. There's a thought here, and I know what it is. It's multiplied by your rank. All right, so and this is again, this is where creation always becomes challenging. You try to it's something I'll have to play around with, but that way, as you create a larger character, you can take bigger items and throw them further. Especially when you're considering, the game has to scale. You want it to scale because at some point you are going to operate a battle suit, and a battle suit is the real deal. I don't know if you guys know this, or obviously don't, because you probably have never played before, but that's okay. So a battle suit is like this really awesome looking suit that mimics you, and you use your moves in the suit, including your talents and feats and your weapons and all your skills. And the reason why that is because these suits are so special that if you try to operate somebody else's suit that's not tailored to them, you're going to have massive negatives because you're going to misjudge your size, your weight, all that stuff. The concept is your character goes into a full dive VR state, VR piloting state, and actually controls the battle suit as if it was the person itself, even to the effect of feeling pain from attacks from that a target and hit the shell of this thing. And that's just mental damage that's given to you, that hurts your body basically because you are pretending to be this thing. You're going to feel it like that. So there is that. So I'm going to play around with that, and maybe I might be able to cut this down and make this a little bit smaller. All right, but now that it's been 1 hour, my first stream, 4 minutes or so, we're completely silent because I'm a bonehead. Uh, it's all good though. I'm excited to do this again with y'all. All right, so that being said, I'm gonna cut off and see how this goes. Hopefully, I don't ruin the whole thing. But it's time to go, and I hope you all take care and have a great one. Check out GunCraze.net sometime. Go catch up on Facebook, Instagram. Get on there. Hit those likes and follows, please. All right. Peace.